perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. You saw the recording. Great.
Yeah, I see the little red dot popped up, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So Patty, you'll have to stop sharing yours. Thank you. All right. So if I've done that correctly, you should all now see my browser with the support screen, the support site open. Patty, does that look right to you? Awesome.
Yes, it does.
Fabulous. Oh, there's some more people jumping in. Just to recap before I go any further, we're going to do a quick overview of the support site in general and the documentation index, and then Patty's going to run through the changes that have been made to sharing and holds. Okay, so just very briefly, the top areas, the top ways to find documentation on the support site from these menus at the top, and you'll see as you hover over them, drop-down menus appear. Get in touch is particularly useful if you want to get in touch with us. So if you want to create a help desk ticket, there's a way to get to that from here. If you want to request reports, you can fill out a form here. If you want to let us know of your closure dates for 2025, and we'll update that for next year, you can do that here. If you want to get information and subscribe to email forums, access remote support, update your library information, if you want to place a request for a visit, and then there's also some other requests. So those are various different ways that you can, various different channels that you can use to get in touch with us. The next area is these handbooks. And these handbooks, I'm going to click on the cataloging one just as an example. These handbooks have been built out to kind of help provide like an overview for the various types of support documentation we offer. And there's a couple of different ways we've done that. So the cataloging one, I'm going to pull up now, and you'll see that on the left-hand side here, there's a clickable menu. So if we wanted to find out about brief records, for example, you can just click on that, and it will take you to the section of the handbook on brief records, and it provides links to guides, to videos that are hosted on the YouTube channel, various other guides, and so on. And in most cases, on most pages, Tony has built out these clickable menus on the left-hand side just to make things as easy as possible to navigate to. The circulation handbook is very similar in the way that it's organized. Again, there's that menu on the left-hand side. If we're looking at wanting to check items in, there's a section right here. And then the information about checking in or discharging. Here's some, quick access to those documents. For our school libraries, we built out a school handbook that has just the documentation useful to schools. Now, schools might find other of our documents useful in their day-to-day work, but these ones were specifically designed for staff at school libraries. And that's all put together on this school handbook page. Again, it's got that clickable menu on the left-hand side. And it also provides some information about things that are required of the school libraries annually. One of the handbooks that we've provided is this documentation index. We posted a new version on Friday afternoon, and the documentation index is designed to provide an easily navigatable, searchable PDF where it has the links built into the various documents. So you can click here to download it, And then once you've got that on your desktop, you can open it up in Acrobat or whatever PDF reader you use. And if you're looking for something, say, on how to do holds, you can do Control F to search for it and type in the word holds, and it'll pop up with a list of all the documents in that section. These colored bars here are kind of helpful just to give you an idea of how the documents have been organized. And if I scroll right to the bottom, there's like a little color guide. It's not terribly critical that you know this, but it kind of helps you just see where that might follow on the support site. So if it's pink, it's a drop-down item. That's one of these drop-down menus here. If it's in orange, it's one of the handbooks that you'll find in this drop-down, the handbook drop-down. If it's in yellow, it's a topic, so you'll find it in the topics drop-down menu. And then the blue and the green, you don't get to from the drop-downs here, but they're, you find them through navigating through the other ways. So they would be filed either under a handbook or under a topic typically. So I thought that color coding was hopefully helpful. When you can see, oh, if it's orange, then it's a handbook, then it's in the handbooks. The documentation index lists about 320 documents, which I recognize could be kind of overwhelming. And that's why I've been careful to make it searchable. And also to organize it by topic very carefully. We are currently working on a process of combining documents, shortening documents as necessary. And what we found, Patty worked really hard to combine documents and simplify the documents that cover sharing and holds, and reduce the number of documents that we had on sharing and holds by a third. But as we're doing that, we're also finding that there are gaps in the documentation we have. And so we're adding more documents all the time. So I know it can be a bit overwhelming, but it should be searchable, and it is organized by topic fairly clearly, I hope. And if you use it and you find that it's not as useful or carefully organized or sensibly organized as I think it is, please let me know if you've got suggestions on how to improve it, because I'd be absolutely open to hearing those suggestions, because I want to use the documentation index to provide access to, a very complex set of information that we have. So that's what I had for now. I'm going to hand it over to Patty, and when she's gone through sharing and holds, we'll scoop back and see if people have questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Patty.
Okay. Let's see. I will share. I can't see my screen. Let's see. Is that the right? Okay. Can you see my screen? Let's see if I'm on the right screen. Okay.
That looks good to me.
Sharing helps. Okay. I'm going to start from. So when I navigate the site, I usually go to topics and sharing and holds. The other thing you can do is you can do the search and you can type in and get to the topic. But I like going to the sharing and holds page. That's just, if that works for you, great. What's really nice is that since Tony is our person here, operations person, it's been really great that we can update our website as needed. So like Anthony said, if you find that something doesn't make sense, let us know. Because, we can be responsive to this. So this sharing and holds is obviously the strength of being in a consortium. So we start off with the policy on this page because that guides everything else we do. So if you ever have an issue with another library, you can refer back to the Holtz. You can contact us and we will refer to the Holtz. I'm going to just show you the policy because this is something that the board has approved. And so and if you ever have an issue with a policy or something, get involved with the Directors Advisory Committee because that's where we can discuss any issues that you have because the board does approve this based on input from the Directors Advisory Committee. So that is your path to inputting policies. And then from there, procedures and guides are something that we come up with that um, that support the policies. So, RSA recommends that libraries share all circulating item types. Obviously, don't, but within the framework of sharing, share as much as you can. And then, there's other guidelines here. I'm going to go back to so it's kind of top down with information. And, like the Rails labeling, items requested by a non-RSA library. Please share that with your staff because that's where you haven't seen my naughty list email in a while. That's been pretty good, but this is a pretty concise document how to handle when you get a request from a non-RSA library. So we have videos that go along with the guides. Actually, I probably have to redo because I just wrote this guide and I haven't checked the video, but it should be around. So the placing holds guide is a pretty long instructional way to play how we place holds. This matches what I do in the holds workshop. So every month we offer a basic holds workshop, and this follows everything that I do in the holds workshop, pretty much step by step. So if you are ever wanting to if you don't have time for the Holtz workshop, you could go through the placing holds guide. If you have time for the Holtz workshop, this is what I do. So it's a great training. It's for placing holds. We did not have this document of all the bajillion documents we had on holds. We never had one how to actually place a hold. So that was just an interesting discovery when we were doing this documentation. So yes, that was like, need everything else. And then placing book club and classroom research blanket holds. There's a whole guide on how to do it. If you haven't done it before, it's you follow step by step. There's a couple things that aren't intuitive, but I also included some guidelines on, where's the beginning of this? There we go. Sorry, that was a delay. About why you might want to use this feature and some guidelines how to use it. So tried to build that up to not just instructions, but why you would use that. And then processing holds is everything else. After the hold is placed, what do you do? It includes pick list, it includes discharging and trapping holds, clean hold shelf for expired holds, processing items received in delivery, doing discharge and your pop-ups. So that's what made sense to me, putting that there. If something doesn't make sense to you, if you see something that we need to add, let us know. We are way more, like I said, we are way more responsive with being able to update this, thanks to doing our website in-house. And if you want to do a deep dive, there's how holds work. Some people like that. And also, why didn't my item fill my patron's hold? If you ever have questions like that, let us know. We can investigate. Usually it's a timing issue. We do have, if you want to train new staff, I have my outline that I use for a Holtz workshop, which does link to those to the website with the guides. So this is pretty comprehensive coverage of Holtz. So you could use that, and that's what's in my workshop too. Oh, that one doesn't look big. Is That's about it. Do you have any questions or comments or concerns? And I will open it up to whoever wants to talk. A question I have is, does staff know how to get to the RSA support site, and have they used it, or is that something? I work at Morton Library part-time, and that is something that when I'm there, I will show people, and we do have it linked. We have it bookmarked on all the CERT computers.
I would say that if there's no questions coming in, and you can do that either in the chat or by just starting to talk, that's totally fine. This is as I say, our first go at doing these membership chats. And maybe you need to stew on what you've just heard and get in touch with us just later, and you can do that. Feel free to email the help desk if you've got questions arising from this. That's totally fine. If you've got questions about organization of the support site or the documentation index, you can feel free to email me directly, and I'll put my email address in the chat in just a moment. And the plan, just so you know, the plan is for the ops team to do one of these every 3 or 4 months. We're going to be on a rotation with some systems membership chats and then the cataloging ones. And I did just see yeah, so Katie had asked the question about why the hold limits were set at the new limits. And we hadn't talked about that. So a question came up from a member library who had received not a complaint, but a question from a patron who was trying to place a greater number of holds as a homeschooler. And the library asked if there was the ability to open up the number of holds available for homeschoolers. And Kendall kind of took that question and sort of broadened it out and basically asked, should holds be expanded for all user types? And so he took that question to the email forum and then to the DAC and eventually to the board, and the board agreed that broadly speaking, users that are people would get a limit of 50 holds. Previously, they'd been 15 or 25 or 30. If it's an organization like an institution, that would be raised to 100 from 50, and then some that were limited, that were set to unlimited. And for many of those cases, I'm not quite sure why they'd been set to unlimited, were again either set to 50 or 100 or unlimited if it was really appropriate. And those unlimited ones tend to be system rather than people or institutions. So yeah, and that's right. For generally speaking, for people, it's 50, and it could have been previously 15 or 25 or 50. Patty, if you can give me control of sharing the screen again.
Okay, I will do that. I found it was in our June 2025 newsletter that it was that
Yes.
Kendall announced that. So let me stop.
Yeah. Thank you. And then let me just find what I wanted to show. Okay. There we go. Okay, again, you should be able to see my support site screen. Let's see. Oh, it would help if I brought up the right. Sorry. I need to think about where we've put that. I should be able to just remember. Sorry. Oops.
I think it was in the user profile difference document.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so the new holds limits are in this document here on the user topics page. Right down the bottom, you would find a link to the user parameters, which takes you to this page here. I'm going to just drop that in the chat. And then user profile differences is the document. And you'll see that this green column here has the hold limit max for each user profile. And if it's green, it was changed when the board approved these new limits. And so these are all of the main user profiles. And as I say, if it was green, it was changed. And in most cases, it was changed from 15 or 25 or 30 to 50, from 50 to 100 if it was an institution or that kind of thing. And then, as I say, some were restricted back from unlimited that shouldn't have been unlimited. So it was a bit of a cleanup project as well. I hope that answered the question. But feel free, and I'll put the direct link in case you want it to that document in the chat as well. So that you've got that. Now you can see that was updated on June the 4th.
So Katie mentioned there that she was having an issue because her staff def card now is limited to 100 holds.
Staff def is actually 50.
Or 50 holds. And from unlimited. So.
Yeah, and so Katie, by all means, drop me an email, and we can take the conversation offline. But broadly speaking, the reason that staff def have been limited is because that's the user profile that's supposed to be used by staff not for doing library stuff. And so, as Sarah just mentioned in the chat, the LUse no count is a better user profile for doing library stuff. But there's my email address, which you can feel free to drop me a line at, or you can also, I was going to put this in anyway. You can also use the help desk email address in case you don't have it to hand, and that's there. Yeah, and as Patty just said, if you need that new user profile added to your dropdown, just let us know. That's a very quick thing for us to do. And then that hopefully will resolve the issue that you've been having. But if you want to just, either send me or send the help desk an email just laying out what you're trying to do, we can get it set up appropriately. Okay.
Right. Having the library use cards is really helpful because then when you do place holds, if it's called, adult programming or children's story time or, then when you place the holds, it's kind of obvious what the hold is going for library.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to use, have your own in-house accounts for placing holds. And like for instance, book club holds would be a different book. You could use a book club profile to place the holds and then check it out to the individual user. So, there are options. If you need options for how to use user profiles to get things done, let us know because we have a lot of different solutions for those.
Okay. I don't think I missed any in the chat, so I'll ask again if there were any other questions. I don't think I missed any. So, that being said, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you again for showing up to our first operations membership chat. By all means, drop us emails and let us know if you've got feedback on anything we've shown you today, the documentation index, the way that the support site is organized. Any feedback is very much appreciated. We know we have created a perhaps overwhelming amount of documentation, but there are so many scenarios that we have to try and help you navigate that there's no real way of avoiding that. And so we want to make sure that finding it is not overwhelming. So that's what we're trying to achieve. And if you've got ideas about ways we can do that more effectively, then we'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you if you've got feedback, and have a good rest of your afternoon. Thank you.